Alright guys, so I'm going to teach you today about how to edit in Premiere, Adobe Premiere. It's all about video editing. There are some little effects in it, but for the most part it's just for video editing, just basic video editing. I think it's a fairly intuitive program, so I don't think y'all are going to have too many problems learning it. So let's go ahead and get started. So first you need to open it, so you go to Launchpad and then go to Premiere, which is a purple PR. And this is Premiere Creative Cloud, so that's the version we're using. When you need to set up a new project, you'll go to Create New Project. And right here is where you'll name it. So for this one, you'll name it Chase Sequence or whatever the project is, and then your name. So Chase Sequence Shelton will work. And under Location, that's where you want to tell it where you want the file to be saved. For you guys, it should be on your desktop, and I would put it in the Chase Sequence folder on your desktop, one of the folders that you created, but you can just save it just blank to the desktop if you want. And then you won't change any of these presets. They're all ready to go. So you just click OK. And you've got a new project open. Before you do anything, you need to import your video because there's nothing to do until you import the video. So to do that, you'll go to File, Import, and then you navigate to one of the folders that you created, and you can find all of your videos in there. I'm going to navigate to somewhere else to pull in some video that I won't actually be using. I'm just going to show you how to do it. So just click on one of the folders that you need. If you need everything in that folder, you can just click on that folder and click on Import. If you only need a couple of things, then you can just click on the things that you need. If I just need this one, I could just import that one. If I wanted to import a couple of these that aren't in a row, you can click on the first one, hold the Command key down, and then click on any of the other ones that you need. Okay, I'm just going to click on one because I'm not really going to use it, so I'm just going to click on Import. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to import something else. Okay, so once you've imported your video, all of your videos will pull up in this Project tab. Okay, anything that you are working with, any files that you're going to work with for this project will appear here if you import them. So music, pictures, whatever you need will be in this project tab. There's also, if you look up here, a bunch of other tabs, but for the most part, you'll only use project and maybe effects. So just know that there are different tabs there. This is usually called the viewer. This is where you'll do some effects controls if you use some effects. This is called a program pane. Basically, this is where you'll see your video. When you drag it over to your sequence, this is where you'll see your video and where you're editing. The last thing is called the timeline. This is where you'll actually do all of your editing, all of your cutting and everything will be done in here. There's a tool panel here. But first you need to create a sequence because right now there's no sequence, so there's nowhere to drag your video. So you need to create a sequence, so you're going to go to File, New, Sequence. And the settings that you're going to use are the same every time. Because you'll be using our cameras every time. So once you've done it once, it'll automatically go to this setting, so it won't be set up right now, but this is the only time you'll need to do this. So right now it should look like this. So you'll click on the little arrow next to DNxHD, and you'll do the drop down menu to 1080p, because that's what we use. And then the last one in that list is the one that you need. Okay, it's 1080p, and then it's it should say 29.97 frames per second, because that's how we shoot. And then you just click OK. And you can rename this sequence here if you wanted to. You can also rename each of these clips if you want, but it's not necessary. Just so you know. And this also tells you how long each clip is. This is 58 seconds and 14 frames. This is 4 minutes, 16 seconds, 14 frames. So you'll learn all that later. Okay, so basically when you want to start editing a video, all you have to do is click on it, and you'll notice that when you scroll over a video like this, all I'm doing is scrolling over it. I'm not clicking on anything. This is called scrubbing. It'll actually play the video through. So that's kind of handy if you have a bunch of clips and you're not sure which one you need, you can just scrub through it. You can also, if you click on one, if I actually clicked on this, there's this little gray square that you can click on and drag through. So if you want to hear it, you can also play in there just by pressing the space bar. So I can play it there if for whatever reason I need to do that. So now when you're ready to edit, you just click and drag the video over to your sequence. Okay, so I'll show you that again. All I did was click and drag and let it go. You want to let it go to where the video, basically, let me explain this in a different way. This right here, these three tracks are video tracks. That's V1, V2, V3. And then the rest of them are audio tracks. Okay. For the most part, you're going to just be working in V1 and A1. Those are those first video and audio tracks. It doesn't matter really which ones you work in. I could work like this if I wanted to. It's just a lot neater and more organized if they're in the actual tracks that are together. It's just easier to see them and work with them. Okay, so when I dragged it in, all I did was, when I dropped it, I made sure that it was in V1, A1. Okay, but you can drop it in any one of them. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'll just let it go. Now, there are a couple of things that you need to know before we get started on actually editing. This right here, this yellow triangle looking thing with the red line is called the playhead. Okay, you can, if you click on it, the yellow part, and anywhere up here, you can click and drag it and it'll scrub through your video. Oh, Mills. You can also press the space bar to play and stop. And then the left and right arrow keys are really important. Left and right arrows. The right arrow key will go one frame forward and backward, or will go forward. The right one will go forward one frame at a time. You'll see it right there. There are 29 frames in a second. And the left one will go backwards one frame at a time. Okay, and that's really important for really good editing, really precise editing. Okay, so if there's one particular frame you need to cut on, you'll use the arrow keys to get to that frame. Okay, there are a couple of other keyboard shortcuts that I'll teach you eventually, but right now it doesn't matter. I don't want to bog you down. So just know that the space bars, play and stop, left and right arrow keys are for going one frame forward or backward. Now to actually cut something, you really only need one tool for cutting. You have a couple of options, but again, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. But for the most part, you're just going to use this tool right here. It's the razor tool. It's C on the keyboard. But when you're ready to cut a portion of your video out, like let's say I just wanted to cut here for whatever reason, what you'll do is you'll click on the razor. Again, you can press C on the keyboard. And you put your playhead where you want to cut. And then all you do is you make sure that your razor is on that red line, and you just click. Okay, and that will cut the video and the audio. Okay, so if I click on this, you'll see that it cut both the video and the audio. There are times when you'll only want to cut the audio, not the video, and I'll show you that. If you need that, just let me know, and I'll show you on your own, because I want to just get the basics done today. Okay, now let's say I wanted to delete all this video after where I cut. I could just click on it anywhere in that video, just click once, and then press the delete key. And undo is just like it is in a lot of other Adobe programs. It's Command Z. It's actually a lot like that in most programs. Command Z. And then let's say though that I want to cut it, but then I want to move it to a different location. To select any clip, all you have to do is click inside of it, and then you can drag it anywhere you want to. Okay. If I want to select multiple clips, let's say I want to select both of these. What you have to do is click in an empty space somewhere in the timeline, just like anywhere, it doesn't matter. Click and drag, and it'll select multiple clips, and you can move them around. Okay, that's really basic, really easy stuff. You can start there with just basic editing, just cut, delete. If there's anything specific that you want to learn, I know some people want to know how to fast forward some things, or how to make them faster, how to make them in slow motion. I can show you that. Just ask me and I will show you, but for the most part, that's all you need to know right now. Oh, sorry, one last thing. How to adjust the audio levels. Let's say you don't want your audio to be super loud, or you need it louder. That's really important. What you need to do first is recognize again that this is the audio, and you have to put your cursor right between the two tracks, A1 and A2, and make your cursor look like that double arrow thing. Okay, so again, I'm just on that line. And I'm going to drag it down, and you'll see these are the waveforms for your audio. Okay, and right in the middle of those two tracks right there, because there's a left track and a right track, is a white line. All you have to do is click and drag that down to make your audio quiet, drag it up to make it louder. Okay, and there are ways to fade audio in and fade them out. Again, I'm going to keep it simple and just do the basics of just turning it up and down. Okay. And again, if you, I forgot to mention this, if you cut something, okay, and you want to go back and select something, you have to go back to the selection tool. So that's V on the keyboard. So V and C are the only two tools that you need. Okay. The selection tool and the razor tool. I don't ever use any of the other ones. If you need to zoom in on something to really make sure you got it cut in the right place, there's a zoom bar right down at the bottom. If you click on the end of it, either end of it, but you can click on the end of it on that little square, click and drag out to zoom out, drag it in to zoom in, and you can zoom in really far. Okay, I'm going to zoom all the way back out. Okay, that's really it as far as I know is the basic stuff that you need to know. Just save as you go. I know Flash crashes a lot. Premiere is less buggy, but just save as you go because there's nothing worse than editing an entire video and then it crashes and then you're screwed. So save as you go, just do Command S and you're good to go.